Hey everyone, tons and tons of videos today, so I've been really aggressive with the editing. Normally I just let invasions kind of play throughout, but this time I had to be really aggressive to get everything in I wanted to get in, and it's still going to clock in at close to 25 minutes. So in this situation, this is my soul level 36. I'll show you some stats on him a bit later, and maybe we'll talk about how I envision I want to rebuild him. But here I can see that I'm going to get myself into a bit of trouble, and I'm already thinking of things ahead. So I have my hyper armor weapon out because I think there's going to be at least a phantom, maybe two phantoms. I see a second phantom get summoned. Who knows if there's already a third? There's going to be a lot of players down below. So the first thing here, I like to hang out on these elevators and see if they'll pull them back down. I called it up. Sometimes they'll pull it back down thinking they're pulling it away from you, and they won't expect you to be on it. So I give it about 10 seconds. They don't take the bait, so I go ahead and send it down. And I'll have my obscuring ring on for virtually all of these invasions, if not every last one. My thinking here is I want to split the party up. So if I can, I want to get some of them on the elevator with me to get separation. I see them looking like they're getting ready to head down the elevator, or I'm sorry, down the ladder. So I come out here and I try to sneak up on them. I do a very poor job of it. I botch it. So now I'm going to race off here to the elevator and see who I can convince to come with me. So there it is. I get one white phantom with me. And here he kind of like blew all of his stamina out on me. And it becomes a pretty simple matter for me to put him away. And for whatever reason, I don't think there was another invader here, but I noticed on rewatching this, I couldn't figure out what happened to the other phantom. I killed the one. The other one died too, and I don't know why, if maybe he fell off trying to take the ladder down. But now it's just the host. And I'm guessing the host is out of Estus, and so my plan actually ended up working out perfectly. If I'd had to fight all three of these guys, I probably would have been screwed. And here, I'm not worrying about spacing or timing or anything. I'm just trying to get this guy on the ground as quickly as I can and not give him time to get away in case he could Estus. So this guy, Ghost Killer. I see him, and he's obviously overweight. He's over 70%. You can tell just by the way he's moving, which is a noob thing to do. But he's got late game gear. He's got a Black Knight shield. He's got the Lothric spear. This isn't noob gear. It's not the kind of gear that a noob would pick, and it's not gear that you would even have access to at this point in the game. So I wasn't thinking too much about the gear at this point. I was just thinking about how obviously noobish he was acting. So I decided that I'm going to kind of cut him some slack. So I beat on him for a little bit, and then I let him Estus kind of uncontested. Think, maybe I can be a bit of a teacher. Man, it is just miserable to watch people try and that roll. Let him back off, let him heal. I was going to try and just drop this guy some embers, but at this point I thought, well, I'm probably better off just teaching him some other lessons. And finally I parry him, put him away. Actually sent him a message right after this invasion, though, trying to be friendly. People are obviously sensitive after you whip their ass. You have to be careful. You have to watch your tone. But essentially offering him some free advice like, hey, dude, don't fat roll. Well, I end up invading him again. And this is actually my third invasion of this guy. The second time I invaded him, he had a squad with him. There were 4 people, me and another invader, and I ended up getting killed after I killed 2 of his phantoms. I'm not sure what this guy's doing. He's not really involved in the fights that much. He just kind of hangs in the back unless you attack him, in which case he'll sort of fight back. But otherwise, he seems kind of content to let the other 3 go at it. And his job seems to be, he's in charge of resummoning. So as soon as one of these guys goes down, he's Johnny on the spot with a resummon, which, as you might imagine, is incredibly frustrating. So here I'm kind of biding my time, waiting to see if another invader shows up. Obviously, with a squad of 4, they're running the dried fingers. Now, mercifully, I don't think they had Way of Blue on. And I don't even know, if you have a squad of 4, I don't even know if Way of Blue works. So I'm kind of trying to bait some of these guys out, see if I can get some one-on-one fights. Obviously, now I got the mage on me. Now I got 3 players on me. This Rugolo fella that just invaded, he and I were invading this squad for quite a while together. I think it was the 2 of us. There was another invader, I forget who it was, but it was mostly me and Rugolo fighting this squad for quite some time. So now, obviously, with all 4 of them around, I'm going to just try and head for the hills and get away from these guys and maybe try to get near some of the PvE. Bleed actually synergizes really, really well with this level, because you obviously have all the different creatures here that can sort of hit you with the maggots, and that'll cause you to bleed out if you don't attend to it. A lot of times at this level, people, they either don't have the blood red moss, maybe they don't have a torch, maybe they don't have the torch equipped. For a variety of reasons, they get distracted. They'll just kind of let that go. And it can create a prime opportunity for you if you have bleed on your weapon, and you can kind of help that process along, and you can bleed people out multiple times. Like these guys right here. You know, I've been thinking too, because I spend a lot of time with this guy invading at soul level 36, and here's Rugolo here, come to join me. I invade a lot at soul level 36. It might be worth respecing this guy so that I could equip Force. But the problem is, right now as it stands, he's only got 6 attunement. So it would be a pretty hefty upgrade for him in terms of different points and different levels in order to get him that. But we'll see his stats here in a little bit, and I'll talk a little bit about some of the changes I thought about making. So you see, I was rolling around that guy's ultra locked on. I've actually been changing that, and you'll see some examples of that in a little bit. Now here I'm kind of focused on other things, but to the extent that I can, when I have the opportunity to really focus on what I'm doing, because it requires a lot of concentration for me to do it still, I'm not practiced, I will unlock now, and I've been practicing rolling around people unlocked. And we'll see more about that in a little while. So I was hoping to kind of pull some of these guys off of me so they would give chase, but I think they probably came to their senses, and they realized the host is up ahead, so they're going to go off and try to protect him. This is such a fantastic level to chase hosts through because it's so long. You have so many opportunities to get after them. And you can see here my invader buddy is running away, and everybody's so bloodthirsty for him, they forgot that they left the host back behind. And because the host is fat rolling, his stamina regeneration is for shit. And by the time they realize their mistake and come back to check on him, it's too late, and I'm able to put him away. I think overall I invaded these guys like 6 times, beat them 4 times, and lost twice. So here we are again in Ghost Killer 420's world. This invasion I really edit the hell out of because this was like a 15-minute invasion. Yeah, obviously I mentioned I have the obscuring ring on. I saw this guy standing over here in the corner. Presumably he was going to try and ambush me. Another fat roller. With one more hit and I would have killed him. Oh, that sucked. But there's no way in hell I'm going in there by myself. And I was here for some time without any other invaders joining me. It was pretty late at night, though, so that may explain why. And so they were chasing me, and then I stopped seeing them, and I figured maybe they're either going through the level or they're trying to beat me in, so I'm being really careful about looking around my corners. And sometimes God just comes down and hands us gifts. And here's a gift right here. Oh, that felt so good. I'd been fighting with this squad for about 2 hours total, and getting a victory like that was pretty amazing. So here I cut out the first part of the invasion. This is me hunting the party down. I still don't know what I'm up against at this point. Obviously I turn around here because I want to take care of the blue before he can join up with the party. And this happened a couple times where blue spawned in and they were AFK. And I tried to time my roll here for the giant because I know he's going to come punch it in there again, but I screw it up. And I screw up again here too. I should have gone to my flask immediately afterward because I knew I was getting two more, but I didn't do it quickly enough, and so obviously I end up losing out on one of them. So I end up camping down here for quite a while, and I know the only ways down here, either through the corridor through which I just came, or up above me on that ledge. That's the only way they can get down here. So I was pretty patient, and I just waited for these guys. And this is really part of kind of my invasion makeover. I've just decided I'm going to be way more patient in these situations. And that patience so often gets rewarded. And you actually see a couple examples of that patience being rewarded today in some of the other videos. Going from that L2R2 into the L2R1 was a mistake with him at my back like that. That could have easily been a backstab. And this guy either was still obsessed with hitting me with an Undead Hunter Charm, or potentially more likely, that very last one was supposed to be an Estus. I think a lot of players that don't PvP a lot, they're so used to having the Estus in the available slot, like their currently selected slot, they don't have experience with it not being there. And they'll make mistakes like that where they just kind of assume it's there and it isn't. So this guy's obviously got Vort's Hammer. He's poised up. And that is a dangerous build. I've actually got a video that's actually going to get released after this, but was recorded before it. And man, that Phantom has no vigor. I talk a little bit about this weapon and how dangerous it is. The frostbite buildup on it is really terrifying. It builds up really quickly, and obviously you can roll through the attack and still get frostbite bleeding up on you. This is a weapon I've seen build up frostbite in like 2 hits, and obviously there he gets me. And here I play kind of poorly. I've mentioned this before. I panic roll when there's more players. Like when there's a single player, I'm pretty good about not panic rolling. But when there's multiple players, I do poorly at it. And this guy's good enough. He knows to look for panic rolling. You'll see him hold off on his R1s a couple of times to try and catch me panic rolling. Especially after he'd already gotten me once. It makes sense to do that. And there you can see I was unlocked. And sure as shit, man, being unlocked really does make a difference. And I still don't understand why that is. I mean, I've heard some people say it's because your character turns around faster. Maybe that's it. I don't know. I'm certainly no expert. But it's just amazing to me. I mean, just being unlocked makes you so much more lethal with those backstabs. And fortunately, the rolling R1 on this weapon is slow enough that I don't have to automatically roll every time he does to avoid it, because then they can abuse that and then try to catch you with the standing R1 right after they come out of their swing. And so here I'm putting a bit of pressure under him with the crossbow so that he doesn't think he can just stand away from me and just keep swinging that thing and expecting me to roll into him and trade. And there again, unlocked, I suck him in and get the backstab. So everybody that told me to do it unlocked, thanks. Exactly right. That's exactly what I needed to do. So I'm still working on that though. So this is the beginning of the hunt. Obviously I'm checking kind of the common corners here, and I'm sending the elevator back down. That's something I do a lot, just in case the host comes running back this way because he wants to get back to the bonfire and resummon. It's just going to slow him up a little bit because he's got to wait for the elevator. And here again, We've got another blue that spawns in, must be AFK. And I'm wondering, it may be because of the time. Again, this was recorded between like midnight and 2 a.m. And there I saw the host just around the corner. So I'm going to kind of get prepped here before I go encounter him. So I know some folks, I know like Saint in particular, Incognito, they hate what they derisively term duels by the bonfire. And obviously this isn't the bonfire. And I thought I could have totally avoided that by just walking. Guess not. And I personally, I don't mind duels by the bonfire, and I'll explain my reasoning about it. I think, first of all, you can oppose duels by the bonfire for a couple of reasons. One reason could be because it's boring to you. But the other reason I think most people object to duels by the bonfire is because they feel like it doesn't give them enough of a chance to win the fight. But I respectfully disagree. And the reason is most people will not offer to duel you like that. Who duels you? People who are good, or at least think they're good. The host has way more Estus than you do. Your best chance at beating them is in a no healing duel. I submit that if you cannot beat a host in a no heal duel, you're not going to beat them if you bring Estus into the equation. Now, the exception might be if it's late in the level and they've used up all their Estus, or the exception might be a situation like this where my character's twinked to all hell and I've got 7 plus 10 Estus. A typical host in this situation, I think they're going to have around 10 Estus, but they're probably only going to be around like +4 or +5. But I can certainly understand if you find just those kinds of duels boring, in which case then you'd certainly not want to do that. So I'm kind of trying to get these guys with turn and burns. The host obviously buffed his weapon. Looks like crystal magic weapon, which is kind of fearsome and scary. He was doing quite a bit of damage with that weapon. So I take him out here and I'm playing unlocked. I'm doing a lot of turn and burns. I'm using a lot of lightning arrows to kind of electrocute the water around them. And the process actually ends up working pretty well. But both these players seem like they're pretty good, and they sort of catch on to what I'm doing before too long. And you'll see here in a minute, they start reaction rolling, so they're looking for the turn and burns, and they're able to adjust. And you'll see here in a moment, I just kind of keep working at these guys. And at this point, I think I'm bleeding them down faster than they're bleeding me. But being able to take a party through a long level like this, every bit of damage that you do to them counts. The Phantoms at this point probably only have like 4 Estus. The hosts don't have many more than that. They're between like 8 and 10 at this level, I think. But you can see there the blue rolled on reaction. So my strategy is starting to peter out a little bit. And then right about the same time, second blue shows up. And there's just no way in hell I can fight all 3 of these guys out in the open like that. They will kill me for sure. So my next strat is to kind of retreat up here and shoot great bow shots at them, but I see them run away, and my concern is they're going to come back around behind me. So I went and made sure that the shortcut wasn't open yet. So the only way through is through here. This is the only way they can get to me. Now, unfortunately, because of my build again, which we'll take a look at here in just a moment here, you can see that 23 strength is misleading. I've got the Knight's Ring on, so it's actually 18. My damage stats are really low in favor of just bumping the ever-living shit out of Vigor. But I think I need to bump down my Vigor and put more points into some of my other damage stats. Right now, I can't use any bow except Millwood, and the only way I can use Millwood is with the Knight's Ring. So swapping out is kind of an ass pain. So I don't know what I'm going to do with the build just yet, but I think I'll probably end up pulling maybe 4 or 5 points out of my vigor in favor of leveling up some of my other damage stats. I'm going to have to probably play around in Mugen Monkey or something to see what I want to do. Obviously here this blue, he's got warmth, which is kind of annoying. This gives you an idea too of what level this host actually is. Even though I'm at soul level 36, soul level 36 will let you invade. I don't know the exact figures, but I'm guessing. I think it'll let me invade all the way up a little bit above 50. And I don't remember the exact stat requirements. Maybe I'll put an overlay in if I check. But I think warmth requires at least like 25 faith, something like that. And so for somebody to have 25 faith at this point likely means that they're... obviously the blue that gets summoned in is going to be similar level to the host. So the stats on the blue tell me something about the host. So I'm guessing this host is probably somewhere between like soul level 45 and 50. And then obviously the difference between 36 and 50 is pretty enormous. So I'm still just trying to harass these guys with great bow shots. Again, every bit of damage counts. I get the L1 waggle there, and I'm able to answer it with a great bow shot, which is pretty sweet. And I was hoping that the area of effect of these lightning arrows would do a bit more damage, but it's really not doing that much damage at all. So now that I see they're coming up the steps, it's time for me to stop with the great bow. And of course I have to swap out a bunch of rings to get rid of my my bless shield that I was using to regen health while I was waiting. And with this many people, I definitely want hyper armor, so I'm going to go with the flamberge. And even with 2 Cathedral Knights, this PvE won't last very long with these 3 guys. And that when people roll into you, backstabbing is something I learned from that Dark Souls guy. Something I didn't know for a very long time. This guy just kind of keeps swinging. I figured eventually he was going to stop. So I'm in a pretty crappy situation at this point. Look at that, the host comes wading in, must have been out of Estus, or he got too bloodthirsty when he saw me getting beat to crap and I'm able to kill him. That invasion, guys, was like a 25-minute invasion. It felt so awesome to win that. So guys, that's most of what I have. I'm going to leave you with a bit of a lighthearted edited invasion here on the perils of using charge on weapons out of neutral. So thanks so much for checking in. Take care of yourselves now.